So, many years ago, when I was writing those songs I was telling you about, I was friends with a lot of record producers because I could play them my songs and then they could get their artists and use my songs. So one of these was a guy that worked at Columbia Records, and he was a great guy. I really liked him a lot, and I used to go up and hang out at his office a lot. And he was producing Bob Dylan at the time. His name was Tom Wilson. He's deceased now.
Tom Wilson.
He died young, unfortunately. And so I was a big Bob Dylan fan. So I'd go up to his office when he wasn't there, and I'd take like stuff that wasn't released yet, and take it home and listen to it, and then put it back. This is pre-cassette. And I was up there so much that, you know, nobody would stop me. I could always go to his office and, you know, they always knew it was me and everything, and it was okay. So he was playing me some unreleased Dylan stuff one day that, of course, I'd already heard. And I said, boy, that's really good. He says, are you a Bob Dylan fan? He said, yeah, I am. And when I had his second album, I was living with my parents, and I put it on. My parents suffered through a lot of music. They suffered through like rockabilly, doo-wop, gospel music, like a lot of music came out of my room. And so I was listening to Dylan, I put it on. My mother came storming into the room and ripped the needle off the phonograph and said, I can't stand that, it sounds like fingers on a blackboard. And I thought to myself, this guy's gonna be huge. Because you know, record companies, starting in the 40s with Frank Sinatra, they concocted these things, music for young people, and the key thing was that it pissed the parents off. And this went on for many years. It's still going on. And if my parents were alive, they would not like Jay-Z.
You like Jay-Z.
I don't like Jay-Z. Jay-Z, there's two reasons why. One, rap and hip-hop were concocted to piss me off. The other is, Jay-Z sampled one of my songs, and for that you get paid as a writer, and then you get paid as an artist because he used my record of the thing on his record, and so I got paid as a writer, and I got no money for the samples. So I called up the record company and I said, I didn't get any money for the sample. I got paid for the publishing. And they said, okay, we'll get on it. So they went to him, and you know what he said to them? Sue me. But I digress. So I'm sitting in Tom Wilson's office, and he says, so you're a Bob Dylan fan? I said, yeah. He said, would you like to come watch a session on Thursday? And I said, yeah. Now, at the time, as I say, I was a songwriter, but I also was a session guitarist. People hired me to play on records. Very few, but they did. And so he said, now you come there and you sit in the control room and behave yourself. No talking. I said, okay, I can do that. And I really was interested in seeing a Bob Dylan recording session. But in those days, I was 90% ambition and 10% talent. And so I said to myself, I'm going to play on that record. And being a guitar player, I practiced my guitar, and I got to the studio early. It was a 1 o'clock session. I got there at 12. And as I say, I was hired by people to play on sessions. So all the other musicians that were there, it was not uncommon for them to see me sit down and play guitar. So I went early and I sat down and plugged in my guitar. And if Tom Wilson said something, I was going to say, oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. But Tom Wilson wasn't there yet. So about 12:20, Bob Dylan came in with another guy who was a guitar player. And he plugged in his guitar, he said hello, sat down next to me and started warming up. And I went, oh my God, this guy can play circles around me. And he looks to be my age. I never heard anybody my age play this good. I said, I'm screwed. So I lit up a cigarette, put my guitar in my case, and went in the control room where I belonged. Tom Wilson didn't see me sitting out there with the guitar, thank God. Then Tom Wilson comes in and they start the session, and about an hour into the session, they move the organ player over to piano. So I go, this is a break for me. So I go over to Tom Wilson, I said, why don't you let me play organ? I got a good part for this. I had nothing. And he says, oh man, he says, you're not an organ player, you're a guitar player. I said, Tom, someone said, Tom, there's a call for you on line 1. He said, you're a guitar player. And he went and got the call. And I thought to myself, he didn't say no. So I went out and I sat down at the organ. And thank God that the organ player, who was now playing piano, didn't turn the organ off, because it's very complicated to turn an organ on. It's not easy. It's like a thing you have to do with 2 different switches at certain times, like that. And I never really knew how to turn the organ on. I played organ on some of my song demos, but I didn't know what all these controls did or anything. And so Tom Wilson comes back and he says, okay, everybody here, okay, we're going to do take 4 now. Everybody ready? So, hey, what are you doing out there? And all the musicians are laughing because they also have never seen me sit behind the organ. And Tom Wilson is laughing. And he says, okay, here we go. And I go, I can't believe this. And I'm thinking to myself, you better do something. And the speaker for the organ was halfway across the room with a blanket over it so that it wouldn't bleed into other microphones. And I couldn't hear it. But I knew, I could hear what the chords were, but it was sort of complicated in that it was 6.5 minutes long. And so I played, I'd come in an 8th note after the chord was hit, because I didn't want to make a mistake. Be out there doing this and make a mistake. That would be very bad. And so that's what I did, and about 4 takes later, he said, okay, we played it all the way through for the first time that day. So Tom said, okay, if you want to come in the control room, to all the musicians, he said, we're going to play that one back. So they playing it back, and it's playing for about a minute, and Dylan says to Tom Wilson, turn up the organ. And Tom Wilson says, you know, that guy's not an organ player. And Dylan says, I don't care, turn up the organ. And that's how I became an organ player. And this is the song that I played on. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Thank you very much. Let's do it just a little bit faster. I'll count it off.